It's exactly 6:15 p.m. and of course you're welcome to the program Matters. I am your host Mabel Camden, and in today's edition, if I were you, I am going to drop whatever thing I'm doing because it's going to be a little bit bubbly here in the studio because we are going to be capitalizing and zooming into the head of state speech, State of the Nation address on the 31st of December 2023. That is going to be ushered, Cameroonians into the new year. His message was received by so many political heads and party members and militants of different parties, with warm feelings, while other think that it is some sort of a warm and false manifesto towards the elections upcoming in 2025. Other things that, it is just, a soil of fake promises, and others think that there is an outer of truism. On today's edition of the program Matters, I brought a cream of panelists who are going to be ushering this program and giving this program all the momentum that it deserves. Joining me on the program tonight, I have Mr. Nembo Stefan, who is a historian and a political analyst, to actually, give this program and to stir the topic. And the topic of discussion today is OC and Kamto picking holes in the head of state of the nation address on the 31st of December 2023. Accompanying Mr. Nembo Stefan today, we have Mr. Jumbo Cyril, who is an MRC militant. Beginning with Mr. Nembo Stefan, you are welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mabel, and thanks once more for trusting me and inviting me once again. I will not hesitate to thank my co-panelist, Mr. Cyril, who happens to be the first person who saw my hard work on social media and decided to give me a try when he was still at Media Afrique. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And of course, I know that with you today, the program is going to have that befitting attire that it deserves. Let us look at the head of speech on the 31st of December. I'm sure you are one of those, young political enthusiasts who are glued to their screens. While Kamto and OC and the other political figures, head of political parties, are picking holes in the speech, how did you receive the State of the Nation address? Was it a thing of joy, or was it, a thing to be castigated?
I think every 31st of December is a day that I cry. I cry because Cameroon has a big problem. A big problem because we have our father and our grandfather who has refused to rest. It is important for us to actually say things the way they are. I have high admiration for the President, His Excellency President Paul Biya. I love him. He's a political model that at least every youth ought to follow. But it is high time for our president to understand that he is no longer active and he should go back to Bomeka and rest. Now, coming back to his speech in proper, we can see that he tried to do a recap of 2023 speech, of which we realize that he no longer has control over the country because he was actually saying things that are not actually true. When you look at the state of, for instance, let's look at road construction. He made mention of the Kumba Ikondo Titi road. We all know that
the project has been abandoned.
Exactly. Last year, after his speech, about 2 months later, the military, when they tried as much to work for about 2 weeks to 1 month, and everything came back to normal. The Bamenda Babaji Road, it is a known event. We were expecting the head of state in 2023. He made mention of corruption. When we talk of development, and what hinders development in Africa is corruption. In 2023, the head of state said that there was going to be an acceleration of the fight against corruption. in 2024 he failed to give us the actual state of his so-called fight against corruption, because we know about the COVID gate, which we of course up till now we don't have actually an account. We have the construction, the construction of stadia and all those stuff. We have not seen the head of state giving us an account of how those who mismanage our funds, how they ended up. Now, when you look at all these things, we ask ourselves that a young journalist, because today I'm here in High TV, I have respect for journalists. Someone that I admire a lot, Martinez Zogo, was murdered. His case has taken so many months and close to a year without justice being served. Exactly. Now we are asking ourselves, is it a guarantee that after the Wazizi case it was not enough? Martinez Zogo, another case, who is next?
I think that is a pending question that in the course of the program we are going to be answering. And of course, just to let you know that the heavyweight Stefan, the young, vibrant political analyst and historian, did not come alone. He pulled the hands of a gentleman who is always on a momentous program like this to make sure that it has that push that it deserves. And in case you're wondering who this political face is, no other person than Mr. Jomo Cyril, who incarnates Kamto here today. You're welcome on behalf of your president, Mr. Kamto.
Thank you, Mabel, and good evening to my co-panelist, Mr. Stefan. It's a pleasure to meet him again after a while, and the honor he liked to put in the public that I gave him the free space. I will really say that he sees it, because back then he really used to voice out, and it's an opportunity for me to call other young people who are seated back home, distracted by gambling, foot, or are distracted by special series TV program, and they say they have problem. You cannot have a problem and you are distracted. I always take the case of when somebody is hungry. When you are hungry, the next thing you do is that you look for what to eat. So if you have issues with your landlord, if you have issues with the county management, I think the right place to voice out is on your page. Use your social media handle to express yourself, to contribute in nation building. So most young people are out there, they are good at victimization, and unfortunately, Mabel, it has taken even above a generation. I was in my office again today, and I was talking with a senior person, and he was having that same victimization mindset, always trying to say Kamto is not doing enough, Joshua Osei is not doing enough. And I asked him, you who is there saying that they are not doing enough, what have you done? Okay, what are you doing? So I would tell Stefan that though he gave me the honor that I gave him a space, no, he sees the space. He showed to me that back then that he was worth to be listened to. And that is why when I met him today, my first regret was that, but Stefan, what has happened? What have gone of all that energy he used to have? And I understood that since he went back to the university, maybe some of his lecturers who have never had the courage that he has, help try to intimidate him.
But talking about
that is the country where we find ourselves, where young people cannot be given the floor to express themselves. But so Stefan, please, from today I want to let you know that you seize the floor and really you deserve more.
But talking about courage, Mr. Cyril, Stefan may have the balls to use his social media handle, but we know that we are living in a country where freedom of speech does not guarantee freedom after speech. And of course, you may be a target. Stefan in his opening lines talked about Martinez Zogo. We have, Mimi Mefo as a case in point that we can, a glaring case in point. And we have other journalists who have made targets, and even neutral persons whose voice are in the verge of being numbed because they are using their social media site and all of that. Don't you think there is an out of truism when citizens have this victimization mindset?
Life is a choice, Mabel. It is rare to see a woman presenting a political program, but you have made the choice to do it.
Now, if you have already made the choice, something that is already difficult to do, and you come and sit here, you are still playing over words, it means that you are the one putting yourself at jeopardy. Young people are already sacrificed in this country. The simple fact that you cannot take interest in public issues shows that you are sacrificed. What else is important in the country more than public management? You tell me. But you see young people, they are so deep into Paris foods. Let me call that, because that is totally what every young person, you take a smartphone, you see, they say they are hustling. What can you be hustling in gambling? So that is where the sacrificial lamb has been placed. So you that you have chosen the right direction, whatever risks come with, even if you die, you are there as a martyr. You are dying because you were serving the right cause. When the Anglophone crisis started, some of us that were very vocal, they promised us all sorts of deaths. Everybody was calling our number and threatening. But at the end of the day, we saw people who died before us. We saw people that were shot out of slave bullets. It's to tell you that death is a destination that is common to all of us.
But so choose your death wisely.
No. There's nothing that you are choosing. You are not God. There is a living God, and you need to trust Him that He is the one overseeing your life. He is the CEO of your life. It's not because God created you in His own image that you will take upon you that you are the one channeling, you are the one coordinating everything about your life. No. That is why Monday can never resemble Tuesday, Wednesday can never resemble Thursday, because God, it is in control. There are days that you come out of your house, you don't even know what you will eat, and surprisingly somebody call you and say that come and take 10,000. How did that happen? Is it because you hustle too much? Certainly not. People should learn to trust God. Once you have chosen a cause, fight for it. There's nothing like we are living in a dangerous country. Everywhere in the world is dangerous, my dear. Everywhere.
Of course, talking about the God factor, I would like to introduce somebody whose steps are really ordered by the Almighty God. And of course, the Matters is a political program, but you know, it is always an avant-garde and an impredator. We always like to touch about certain factors. That is Mr. Jomo Cyril, who is trying to gain the steam. And before we get into the inner caucus or the crux of the matter, talking about somebody who is going to be holding my hands on the panel today is no other person than Mr. Sinju Armstrong. You're welcome, sir, and very much thank you for making it to the program today.
Thank you very much, Mabel. I must apologize for late coming. Of course, you know, the town of Buea has become that of Douala and Yaoundé, where we are faced with traffic jam. I cannot imagine that small Buea, some days back or some years back, it has become something hurt. So it's quite unfortunately. Good evening to Stefan. Good evening to Siri, our upcoming mayor of the Buea municipality, the town of legendary hospitality, whose vision has is being frustrated by some young person who we think that they are supposed to be supporting young people who come up with big political vision, especially when our head of state says the youth need to engage in politics. So sometimes I feel very bad when he's trying to put out a political manifestation in so many platforms and he's being hit back. So it's a terrible situation, but I just have to tell him that courage is not easy. The futures of this country lies in the hands of the youth, not the one of tomorrow, the one of today. So I really much appreciate when I see young people engaging in political matters. And of course, I must salute your courage also to have taken up a program like this, which many women in our country are scaring to champion it. So it's a great opportunity. Thank you.
Talking about the opportunity, we also had opportunities hearing from various representatives of party leaders like Usi, Kanto, Kabrali B, and a cream of others who actually on December 31st at exactly 8 p.m. some of them also came out in the limelight on the screen to give, you know, well wishes and their manifesto against 2025, and also giving a review of what the years has been and promises as usual. Amidst all the plethora of speeches that were rained, that dawned on us on the 31st, which exactly caught your attention?
Yeah, thank you very much. beside the speech of the head of state, and we equally had many speeches of different political president or chairhead or chairman. And of course, like you said, we have so many that came up on the 31st. I've managed to watch a handful of them, but I want to think the first one that caught my attention is that of the chairman of the Social Democratic Front, Honorable Joshua Osei. And again, I took much interest in that of the president of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, Professor Maurice Kamto. I think these are the two people which their speeches caught my attention, because I followed it with keen interest. And to begin with, that of the president, which we all analyzed here, which I would not like us to go back there again, but that of the XDF, I think the speech this time around is quite different and innovative in its approach. Maybe I should equally let you know that if my memory has not failed me, for SDF, this is the first time we are having a chairman come on to deliver end of year message. And so that of Honorable Joshua Osei, for the first time as against 2018, I watched Honorable Joshua Osei talk to Cameroonians in a very calm, in a very understanding way. I noticed that he understands the plight of Cameroonians, given that he is someone who has been into politics for quite a long time, given that he is still young as compared to other political president or chairperson that we have who has been into politics. And I think that Joshua Osei is someone who understands the issues that is currently plaguing Cameroonians, especially that of the Northwest and Southwest, which he talked a lot and giving the way forward as SDF. You know, SDF always stood for federalism as a way that that is a panacea to the current crisis in the Northwest and Southwest. And so I think that this time around, the approach that the SDF is bringing, it is quite good. Again, for Professor Maurice Kamto, his speech was good. He also understood the problems of Cameroon, and he has, you know, his speech has some similarity with that of the SDF. They were thinking in the same direction. MRC thinking of federalism as a panacea to the current crisis in Northwest and Southwest, of course, in Cameroon as a whole. Same too with SDF. So they had the same direction, and after listening to both of them, I think these two people they can really provide a solution to over 50-something years problems which the current regime has failed to provide.
The solution. I think that is a very sensitive word, Mr. Cyril. For Mr. Sinju here to say that they are going to be the cure, the panacea for the emerging Cameroon 2035. Let us see how far. Let's begin with Kamto. In his end of the year address, Kamto highlighted that the incumbent regime has made futile efforts towards international mediation. I mean, they have done window dressing and all of this in a bid to make sure that they use military rule to end the war. Let us see. Is that just enough to say that the regime has actually done no, effort or void of enormous effort to bring in international bodies? We have had, promises, and we have seen visible attempts, but the people concerned will not want to succumb to, international mediators. Would it be right to say that?
Putting the question that way would look as if Kamto is imagining what he's describing. But when you see, if you go back memory lane, when Canada stepped in and announced that there was an upcoming dialogue that was supposed to take place in Canada, that they have been talking about it back door, but it's time it should come to the limelight. Who were the first people who came out and castigate
the Minister of Communication, spokesperson for the government of Cameroon, Minister René Emmanuel Santi. He came out and said, even if there was something in the name of mediation coming up, it is not the place of Canada officials to bring it to the public, but Cameroon, I mean those who are concerned. Then we started seeing that there's a tussle play somewhere. So Kamto is not imagining that the government is playing over sensitivity. It's not the humanitarian plan action, the DDR center, and all those humanitarian, all those peace process institutions that were put in place by the government were put in order to stop the international community from intervening in the crisis. All these institutions came in at a time when the international community was saying, but Cameroon, it seems as if you cannot handle this crisis, let us come in. That is where the government hastened its step and put the DDR and created other centers around, like that. Even the Commission of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism.
So with all of these cosmetics procedures and to gear towards ending the crisis, do you think it's something commendable or something plausible?
No, you call it cosmetic. Cosmetic means that it is just you know,
Can last for long.
it cannot last for long.
It's like window
It is
dressing.
temporal, and it is meant to lure international donors and to lure the UN Peace Commission that Cameroon is actually a democratic country. When you see our practices, because in a democratic country, the first thing that is supposed to be the bedrock is the rule of law. Is the rule of law, meaning that what does the law says about citizenship? In Cameroon, we have a war between citizen and the government. Citizens of a fraction have said that we are marginalized, and that word did not just come up in 2016. It has been existing, just that it has always been kept under the cupboard. But now in 2016, it so happened that it came even more, it was more stronger, just like eruption and the volcanicity. It just erupted like that, and the government could not hold it any longer. In the beginning, they tried to hide it. Well, Minsa who came out and said there was nothing. I'm citing Tiroma Bakari, for example, who came out, he was then Minister of Communication. He said there was nothing like that. So the government, from the go-ahead, from the beginning of the crisis, started by denial. After denial, they started, when the pressure was mounting, they went into little talks. After they started bringing up all this institution, until when they organized the major national dialogue, created the DDR center, where and during the major national dialogue, they did again another cosmetic thing. They went and organized a group of friends who said they were Amber and presented them. They came also and played the role. It was like a movie. So they came up and said that, oh, we are dropping arms. You will no more hear about the separatist forces in the northwest and the southwest. But what happened? After that, thousands of people have died, both from the civilian end and the militia. So what I was saying is that when we come to talk of a cosmetic solution, a solution that is meant only to buy time, because you should know that the CPDM regime has a fabric. It is buying time, lying to the people and lying to the international community. The dictatorial regime of Biya is a regime that has decided to die in power. Biya is living in this country as if this country belongs to him. And there are some people who have been made to think that they are more citizens than others. So Kamto in his speech was simply saying that all what Biya is saying is a deja vu, something that is used to keep the people calm. I follow again the 1 p.m. news today. Since the 31st of December, I've been following the 1 p.m. news. And what does the 1 p.m. news, from the national media? They specialize in dissuading those highlights that President Biya made on the 31st. They specialize in looking for what we call intellectual, in quote, because our intellectual in Cameroon, they talk as if they want to protect but their position in the university. So what the CRTV does is that they go and look for this intellectual. Every sector that Mr. Biya talk about, those intellectuals now come and give more explanation to it, and that is how it is penetrating shallow minds. People who don't know how this country is working. So it is the role of the opposition, it is the role of Kamto to come up and say that, hey, before you go and you are sucking those bad news, this is actually what we are living, because Kamto did not just harvest that from heaven. We are living in the restive region, know that the war is on. The war is on. That's why the governor of the Southwest was not here in Boya that very 31st. He was not here. Why? Because he had to go on certain issues in other part of the Southwest, that is unrest. So we should stop lying to the international community, and that is simply what Kamto was trying to put when he said solutions that have been put so far are cosmetic, and we are not even on the highway towards a sustainable solution.
Kamto in his speech, Mr. Stefan talked about dialogue. I mean, something that really suits and warmed the hearts of so many people to have known that he received, he opined and articulated on the necessity for a genuine dialogue. He articulated on the necessity for a genuine dialogue. But the way is, Kamto did not recommend. Do you think the how is most necessary as, president of a party? And he's saying that he's going to step in to endeavor that there is genuine national dialogue. Do you think that that is going to be a charade or a facade as usual?
Thank you, Mabel. I want to first of all start by saying that I respect Professor Maurice Kamto as an academia, but as a politician, he's a failure. He has a lot to learn, and I think if there should be any, how can I put it? Kamto has no lesson to teach to Cameroonians, because they don't take over power on Facebook. People should stop going on Facebook live and saying that this Cameroon will change. To change a country, you move the masses. To change a country, you represent the people. Kamto, in 2018, when the war was really tense in the Northwest and Southwest region, he decided to go in for election to become the president of Cameroon. He did not complain for the change of an electoral code. He was aware that people were dying in Kwakwa, in Akwaya, in Banteng, and everywhere in the Northwest and Southwest region. Yes, he still went he wanted to become the president. When his dreams of becoming the president of Cameroon were shattered, he then, I don't know whether he poured his anger to frustrate a young man like Mayor Cyril. This is a young man who wanted to become the mayor of Boya, who I was ready to give him my support. In 2020, when things were already calming somewhat somehow, he came and he said there is a crisis in the Northwest and Southwest region. A few days ago, they had a congress, and I saw them jubilating that their congress was successful. And I was asking that are you guys aware that the crisis in the Northwest and Southwest region is still ongoing? Are you guys trying to tell us that they have changed the electoral code? Or are you guys telling us that you are preparing to hold President Pobia, that if you don't change this electoral code, you are going to go to Gomeka? Is that what they are telling us that they are preparing to do? So the CRM is a failed party. It's a petit party politique, and we should not come on serious platform like this and be giving relevance to a party like CRM. So now we're standing. The ideas of Professor Maurice Kamto concerns his militants, because I don't see any reason why a party who has zero representative, has zero and nothing and zero everywhere, what do they have to teach Cameroonians? Nothing. You don't become president, you don't take over power, you don't develop. See, what people fail to understand is that after making noise, what next? We can sit here and make noise and say, Professor Maurice Kamto, Professor Maurice Kamto. At the end of the day, what do we do? Are we going to change Cameroon on a high TV platform? Is it on this panel that I'm going to tell President Pobia what he ought to do or what he ought not to do?
But at least Professor Maurice Kamto has taking a right foot ahead by talking about his involvement in the major dialogue and genuine dialogue for that.
Professor Maurice Kamto betrayed Cameroonians. Let me tell you something, Abel. When you are a leader who went for election and you came out second, which means that, of course, Cameroonians do love you. And you don't actually, when in 2018, after elections, I told a friend that the SDF party is dead, and I'm seeing the CRM party taking over. I saw a very great politician. I saw a very, somebody who could move the masses. I saw Professor Maurice Kamto like somebody that I could say, I want to learn from you. But when in 2020, he frustrated so many Cameroonians. You know what politicians in Cameroon, the opposition leaders, what they fail to understand is that politics is interest. And when you are working with people, first thing that you need to understand is that how the things that you are doing, how does that safeguard the interests of your entourage?
Thank you. I think that is a pending question that in a while we are going to be responding to. Of course, Mr. Sibi, we are still here about lambasting on the president's speech, while others think it's very laudable, and we are still looking at Kamto's speech. He mentioned the national dialogue, which was something that actually was commended by many Cameroonians. So just to cue in from where Stefan ended, do you think his efforts are going to be palpable enough? Do you think his efforts towards the national dialogue, as he has painted, is going to die at birth, or is going to be aborted?
No, when Professor Maurice Kamto talk of giving a true platform for Cameroonians to come together and express themselves, it's certainly not a CPT and Central Committee meeting that they organize calling the Metro National Dialogue. No, it is actually extending his hand to political prisoners of the Anglophone faction that are jailed in Konengi, giving them a space on the table and guaranteeing their freedom before and after the dialogue. It is actually organizing a plebiscite in the Anglophone region to permit every Anglophone denizen to cast his vote for, just like what happened in Chad. I mean, giving the floor back to the people to redefine how they are looking at the future. And we say that federalism is our utmost expectation. We want to have a 10-state federation, but it is for the people to decide. If at the end, the people decide, no, we rather prefer but a 2-state, meaning Francophone and Anglophone, then Kamto is good to go. So when he is saying that Mr. Biya has missed the road towards ending the Anglophone crisis, I think it's because of the death toll that we are registering now. That is why he's coming back to it. And unfortunately, Mr. Biya does not even take account.
So what breath of fresh air is Kamto promising to bring as
that Cameroonians should take their responsibilities. If we are counting to bring change to this country through the ballot, then we should be sure that we at least have our voters' cards. It starts from there. Except we have other magic that we want to use. But if we are counting to have change in Cameroon through the ballot, then we should have our voters' card. That it doesn't end there. The day of the vote, we have to act like observers, meaning we go and cast our vote and stay around the vicinity.
You guys keep on contradicting yourselves every day. You are just like Professor Maurice Kamto said that the electoral code is not suitable for any opposition leader to win any election in Cameroon. And when you are asking Cameroonians to go and register massively to get their voters card, it means that you have started trusting the electoral code of Cameroon.
I didn't know you. There are two hosts on the platform.
No, but,
it's a debate.
No, it's a debate.
Okay. Then let me answer Mr. Stefan. Mr. Stefan is somebody that we should take with a lot of seriousness, because besides being a panelist on this platform, he studied political science in the university. So he is having about politics in general. Something that personally I didn't study in school. But what
make the difference between I and him, maybe my experience on the field and the theory he has from college. So a position as a politician, the one thing that's common with all politicians is dynamic. Politicians are very dynamic. So I think dynamic answer all the worry that he has. In the morning, a politician can tell you 1. In the afternoon, he has moved to 2, depending on the opponent. We in Cameroon will consider only CPDM as our opponent, as for now. So each time we weigh the tendency and see that there is a chance for us to move forward, we take the ball. So we always, you see, in 2019, Kanto and the National Directorate of the CRM had a foresight of what is happening to Kabwadibi today. They were going to redistribute the seats and give you to Kanto. Then after, they are going to use his electorate, his representative, parliamentarian or local authorities to control him.
And is that what Kanto wants to do with PAC, the PSC?
What? No. Cameroonian Kanto CRM singly alone cannot win election in this country.
Okay, so
that's a fact. So we are negotiating what we call coalition.
Okay.
And it happened that what you saw with the Popular Action Party is actually a beginning of something that's going to go through the SDF, go through the PRC, the PCRN, go through the UDC. In short, we are extending our hand. The hand is up, as I'm telling you, our hand is up like this.
So it
extended to all political parties to make sure that
it has penetrated your party already.
It comes to us all.
Where is Barrister Michelle Oki? Where is Barrister Dambu Sidwan?
I was coming to that question,
where are those
Mr. Nembu Stefan, but before then, I think we also have a deep voice whose voice is going to be really echoing. And those are the receiving end, dear viewers. In case you're enjoying the program and you intend to contribute or you have some questions lingering in your chest, the number to do so is on your television screen. And just to remind you that on this episode of Matters, we are looking at OC, Kanto and other party leaders picking holes in their speech. Introducing a gentleman who has a fine brain, no other than Mr. Ndifo Richard, a C and SDF militant. You're welcome on the panel today.
Thank you so much, Mabel, and thanks for having me. I want to use the opportunity to say Happy New Year to the rest of the panelists, especially my very good friend Cyril, and to say Happy New Year's to the viewers too. It's always a pleasure being on the platform. I think I made a very interesting conversation between my friend of the CRM and Mr. Stefan. And yeah, we understand that at the end of the year, we have various end of year messages coming from the head of state. First of all, we know that, yes, we know that the head of state has a prominent voice, because all of us expecting him to tell us the challenges that was faced in the previous years, the achievement that was gotten, and the plans for the next year. And so Cameroonians are anxious to listen to him. And also the opposition political parties also have an opportunity to be able to be critical of the regimes or the head of state policies during the year, and also an opportunity for them to present their own platform and their own plan of action for Cameroonians. Not actually for the upcoming year, but presenting what they have as alternative to the regime in place should they win elections and take over from him.
Kanto was dragged for giving his end of year message at exactly the same time as Mr. Biya. Do you think that is something that is, very commending as, a true leader, or is it just a mere show of power?
Well, personally, I think that we only have one president, one head of state at a time, and I think that the president of the republic, irrespective of our differences, irrespective of the fact that we oppose him, he's the head of state, he's the president of the republic, and we know that he has to present an end of year speech at that same time. Now, what happened in other countries, from my understanding, is that when the President of the Republic presents his end of year message, opposition parties now take from that to probably, in some countries, if I use the example of the United States, the opposition party reacts to that. In fact, it is official. Yes, it is official, because the president is required to hand his speech to the opposition party, and after his presentation, the opposition party is required to give a response to that message. And so it becomes, in my opinion, I do not think it's ethical for a political party to be presenting an end of year speech at the same time like the President of the Republic. I don't find that very ethical. It is either you present your end of year message proud to the head of state's own, or you present it after the head of state. It is not appropriate to do so at the exact same time on the same day. I don't think, first of all, it is not even beneficial to you, because you have divided attention. If you want to speak to Cameroonians, you want to speak to all of Cameroonians. And so when you are doing that, when you know that some Cameroonians will be listening to the head of state message, it is disadvantage to you, because when you make your presentation, even CPDM militants, you want to convince them. You want to get them to your side. So you don't present your end of year message at the time when you know that most people will not be attentive, they will be following up the head of state.
Mr. Sinju, do you think that this is something that the media, especially social media, because we see Kamto being dragged for doing this, do you think that it's something that most people would have waived, or it's something that we should really look into and castigate, or drag him and use our pens or our keyboards to bring him to order?
Well, like what Mr. Ndifo said, the timing for Professor Morikam to present his speech at the same time with the head of state, I think is not correct, because I remember that day when we were struggling to watch the head of state speech to see how we can actually analyze it. At the same time, the Professor Morikam was presenting his speech, and definitely. So it becomes very difficult. So we need to give the respect to the head of state, like what Mr. Yani said. No matter our political differences, he is the person who has been through the ballot box, placed there as the President of the Republic. And just Mr. Siri made a lot of comments regarding to President Biya handling the Anglophone crisis, which emanates from the speech of Professor Morikam. I want to say that I think we should give credit to His Excellency President Paul Biya for at least it's a difficult situation where we find ourselves. Cameroon is a complex country made up of 250 political parties, ethnic group. Then you have the Francophone, the Anglophone, different cultural backgrounds, and resolving a crisis like this that stems from the fact of marginalization. It's not well an easy task, because you have people with different opinions.
So you categorically say that he's making laudable attempts?
Yes, he's making laudable attempts, because if you look from 2016 when the crisis started to now, you will agree with me that things are no longer the same, though we are still moving to an end. But at least there is good, just like the president said on 31st, that calm and peace is returning. Time for reconstruction to take place. Okay, because just a minute, he made mention of the fact of the international community. One thing you need to understand, that Cameroon is a sovereign state, and you need to understand that if a country is stepping into a political crisis like this, at least they cannot stand ahead, because we want to think that Cameroon has lost its sovereignty. But again, I understand that sometimes discussion from other friendly countries will be undergoing. But to say that a country will stand and say want to mediate between Cameroon and the armed groups, I want to think this is something very difficult. Besides, I think the Cameroon government still have the way. But again, I have a problem with opposition party. One thing we need to understand is that opposition party, what are their contribution as far as resolving the crisis concerned, apart of the fact that they will come to castigate what the government is getting. We expect to see opposition party go down to the field. Why not go to a community and rally them and talk to them? We see the government institution doing that.
Yeah, I think Mr. Sirili's best question because that Mr. Sirili's best place, because that was even the highlight of Kamdo's speech. He says, as part of his manifesto for the upcoming elections, the heartbeat of his campaign is going to be solving the NOSO crisis. But before we get to Mr. Sirili, Mr. Tifo, I think you.
No, I just want to quickly, because we are on a platform where we are educating Cameroonians, and it's good that when we're talking to Cameroonians, we should be honest. We are not here to please people, and so I was very surprised when my brother said that the head of state should be commended for what he has done. First of all, Cameroonians should know that he mismanaged the diversity of Cameroon. He mismanaged handling the way Cameroon is. Because when we even talk about this issue of the Anglophone crisis, Biya contributed greatly by dividing Cameroon into some Cameroonians who are more Cameroonian than others. It is because of Biya that this crisis got to where it is.
Do you think you are speaking in riddles? Do you?
No, I'm not speaking in riddles. I'm not speaking in parables. I'm very clear that the President of the Republic mismanaged the diversity. It is true, Cameroon is a diverse country, but he mismanaged it, and because he mismanaged the diversity, it has led us to where we are today with the Anglophone crisis. And mark you, it is not only the Anglophones who are agitating. There are other groups in Cameroon who are also agitating. Our voices might be loudest, but the are others who are also talking about the fact that the diversity in this country was mismanaged. That's the first thing. The second thing is that even as the diversity was mismanaged and there was a problem, he mismanaged the problem. He did not handle the crisis properly. I don't even mean the crisis, but first of all the problem, because it was due to the fact that he was stubborn and refused to address the problem, that the problem dragged on to 2016.
Now,
and
accusing finger.
I'm not pointing accusing finger. I'm barely explaining to you.
What would you have rather had the head of state do differently?
Beautiful. I like that question. Good question. Now, in terms of the management of the diversity of Cameroon, the President of the Republic would have recognized that there are two people with two cultural backgrounds. A lot of people may argue that this culture we are talking about are Western culture and all of that. But you and I know that we are on this platform speaking in a Western language. We are not here speaking in Bafut. We are not here speaking in Bakwiri. We are speaking in a Western. That is to tell you that we have a colonial legacy that we cannot deny. We can pretend, that it's a Western, it's a colonial culture and whatsoever. But it is rooted in us. We have even adopted the colonial language as our official languages. So if we have done that, we should follow through to recognize the fact that we have two colonial heritages. And when we have those two colonial heritages, we should recognize the fact that Cameroon had been separated for over 50 years and had lived as different territories for 50 years. And therefore, when we are coming back together, the reason that Cameroonians agreed in Fumban to adopt a federal system of government was because they recognized that we have differences in terms of culture, in terms of language, in terms of our judiciary and all of that. And he was supposed to manage this. Even though they violated this this federation thing and came up with a unitary state, if he had managed it properly, the situation would not have been the way it is. And then, since 1980, or even before then, Frank Anglophones have been agitating. But instead of asking what their problem is and address the problem from the root, he kept using intimidation and using force. And he did that for a long time and thought that he was getting away with it. Until in 2016, he realized that when you push people, you intimidate people, you are only pushing them into hiding, you are only pushing them, and their anger keep rising. And in 2016, it burst. to the situation in which we are.
Fine.
Now, I do not support violence, and I will never in any way support violence. But at the same time, I think that the head of state failed even in 2016 to manage the situation so that it did not escalate to where it was.
Without drifting from the main focus, I think that history was very, very necessary. But then, Mr. Siwi, maybe I turn my gaze to you at this point. Your eyes are becoming red. I think
it's
a sign of clearing up, but it's normal, especially when you have oppositions like Mr. Richard and Mr. Nembu Stefan. Now, Kamto is saying that the heartbeat of his campaign is going to be the NUSO, and loosely borrowing from what Mr. Sinjo Armstrong here said, opposition leaders are supposed to be close. Do you think this manifesto is coming because the elections are dragging nigh? I think the question that the common man will be asking is, where has Kamto been all of this? The politics doesn't end on Facebook, just like what Mr. Nembu Stefan is saying. Do you think his efforts solving the NUSO leaves very little to be desired?
Before jumping into your question, Stefan should not forget that I actually noticed him but through Facebook. We are living in a generation that we cannot undermine the power of the digital media. Some of us were practically making a living but through digital media. It is the new economy. The world is interconnected to. If other countries are governing their citizens through social media, who are we to withdraw any attempt of any democracy like we saw in Gabon, where after the presidential election they shut down internet? We saw the consequences. So any democracy that tries to tamper with the power of the new what the Frenchman call économique numérique, I think they will be shooting their knees, either one of their knees, because it's going to fall back on them. Once that is set, I want to waive every argument about Republic de Facebook and all those things. Yeah, they are coming, but they are coming from haters. Now, when political analysts use the language of the ruling power, they should not be surprised when we retaliate, because politics has a language, and those in power, they have particular articulation based on what they want people to consume. When you have a neutral analyst who tells you that Biya is resolving the crisis, and the people of the Northwest and Southwest are watching at him and asking that, when was the last time you went to your village? And they are asking him, do you know the struggle that we are having in some roads in the Northwest? Is that how a country should be governed? And they are asking him, are you aware that there are so many children that could not go on Christmas Day because their home is shattered? Now you were asking me, is the role of Kamto just to come and cry over spilled milk? Certainly no. At the beginning of this crisis, we mobilize money, resources, bought gifts, send word to the diaspora that everybody that everybody that has something, you have a spare clothes, you have a spare shoe, you have something, a spare TV somewhere that you are not using, please send it back home. Because we were working with the Aya Foundation to go to Nigeria and help all the refugees that have decamped Cameroon to Nigeria. We did that. And throughout the crisis, we have been sending our word. Even the Manfe, which is what is fresh in my memory, we send our words. We send our emissary, because our party have militant almost all over the country. So we send people there to go and talk with the people. We might not have the state funds, because you should know that the government that is bringing social help to these victims does not do that on his own way. We, the citizen, contribute money. Even those who are playing powerful, that's the highest people who pay tax in this country, but they don't know. Because the probability to win those things you are playing is less than 1. I mean, less than 0.5. So each time you dish 100 francs or 200 francs, you are giving a huge jump. So that is the money the government is using to bring assistance to these people. So you should not put on the same weight
the action of the government and that of the opposition. Now it is the place of the opposition in a dictatorial regime like ours to actually be more than vocal. We are not even vocal. We are supposed to be at the front. We don't expect people to love us. We don't expect people to like us. Instead, when I have critics coming in like that, they are fatal soil for us. But I want to remind them that each time you use the language of a dictatorial regime like ours, you should be ready to welcome the consequences of it, because it does not delay to come. It might not come directly to me, but it will come from the people who are watching you. They are observing you, watching what you are saying, and asking themselves, are we living the same reality?
We are soon getting creeping into Sin's speech, but I think you have some questions for
Yes, I just want to react to one issue raised by Mr. Richard and Mayor Siri. I just want to indicate that when to tell Mr. Difford that we shouldn't cry over spilling milk, I think the government, the Bia government, has acknowledged the problem. I think that was one of the reasons why the major national dialogue was convened. And during the major national dialogue, those that were concerned, of which I think SDA was fully represented, and of course other political party and the concerned were there. And after the discussion, they all agreed that there is a problem. We cannot deny the fact. We are not here to deny that there's no problem. But now I want to think that something came out from the national dialogue, which the special status that was granted to the Northwest and Southwest.
But do you think the
to address,
is obscure?
yes, to address, because the Bia government acknowledged that these two regions has some historical and cultural specificity.
Fine, but how
You understand?
effective has a special status been? Do you think it has been obscure throughout this year?
Of course, the special status is still in implementation. We have the regional council, regional assembly, which has already been taken in place. We have the commission for multiculturalism and bilingualism. All those things have been taking place, but it is not easy. Like I said, we as Cameroonians, we need to come together to ensure that this thing completed, implemented.
Most of the things that were discussed in the national dialogue, or so-called national dialogue, whatever it was, it wasn't implemented to the latter. In fact, decisions that were taken, even the special status issue, my party particularly welcomed the special status as it was agreed upon at the national dialogue. But when it came into implementation, the CPDM in its usual style removed all the essential elements that made the status special, and then came out with something that looked completely different from what was agreed upon in the
So what was actually agreed upon?
Well, the special status that was agreed upon at the special was exactly a prototype of what is in Canada.
Yes.
If you can, I don't have the time here to explain all of that, but you can go compare it. What we have as the core special status, if you go to all the 10 regions in Cameroon, the same, they have regional councils, they have regional days. What is special about the status? That's the question I'm asking you. What is special? These were things that were supposed to give special consideration to the Northwest and Southwest. They were supposed to be elected administrators. For example, the governors were supposed to be elected, DOs elected, and all of that. That was the specialty. The agreement was that. Yes, that's what made it special. The agreement was that since you do not want to subscribe to federalism,
this is what we are given.
Give that federal status to the Northwest and Southwest. Call it whatever name you want to call it, but give exactly that. And that's why we're happy that at least we are advocating for federalism in Cameroon. At least if we can force the government to start this federal aspect within the Northwest and Southwest, that is one step ahead. But unfortunately, when it came to the implementation, it was a total disaster. It was something completely different. Go and ask those who are in the regional councils how much powers they have. They don't have anything. Power still emanates from Yaoundé to down here. There is total confusion into the implementation and to who actually has what power to run in these different localities. So it has. I would say that the so-called special status had caused even more confusion than it was before.
Let's look at electoral reforms. Kamto in a speech says he has the dire need and the yearn for an electoral reform. We know what happened in 2020, Mr. Stefan. Before I actually seized words from your mouth, I think you were trying to, lambast him for that, citing Mr. Sibyl as a clearing case in point, who would have been a mayor.
Maybe what Mr. Cyril is doing on this platform is a total disgrace for the Cameroonian youth. Now, let us put it this way. How can a serious youth or a politician say loud and clear that politicians say something in the afternoon and in the evening they say something else? Which means that it is actually telling us that his party leader, Professor Maurice Kamto, is not a man of his word. And there is one thing that President Paul Biya once said, that gesticulation is not a sign of vitality. To make noise, to vibrate, or to go on social media and give speeches every 31st will not bring change. Now, before I go back to what the SDF militant said, I want to first of all ask my brother here for him to give us an account of what the Regional Assembly has done so far
since the inception,
to prove their relevance. And now coming back to the SDF militant, Mr. Nzifo, thank you. I want you to understand, senior brother, that as much as we actually should see the loopholes of the Biya regime, we must actually understand that the SDF is not, how can I put it, a model. When you see a party just like the CRM, people who are dictators, and you want to come and give lessons to President Paul Biya, they usually say that before you try to teach people some morals, at least ensure that your entourage, you are proving morality. You cannot be in a party with somebody, a vibrant politician like Honorable Michel Nietzsche. You chase him away. When you look at the caliber, the charisma of Nietzsche, can President Osi fit him when it comes to?
Do you think that is a fair comparison?
No, I'm coming somewhere. I'm coming somewhere. For a political party to have relevance, they need to get to the field and have the seats, like represent the people. And when you look at the SDF today, the SDF is a non-event. The SDF is a dead party. I was even expecting that we should organize a mourning day for the SDF party, because the party is dead. Now, why do I say the party is dead? Imagine a party which gave hope for Cameroonians, which is today struggling to have an appointed senator. Imagine a party which used to be a party of a party of like
life.
Good. They are struggling to have 5 seats at the National Assembly. They are struggling to rule 5 councils. And look at a young man like Honorable Cabral Libi, who just came yesterday, and look at what he's doing in the field. And because of what you do, permit me, don't cut me short, please. Because of what he's doing, you are seeing how the CPGM, because when the CPGM is after you, just know that you are powerful. When you are seeing they are trying to bring Cabral Libi down, all this manipulation with the what they say, President Fondateur and all those stuff, is because they know that the guy is powerful. Now, this is the point that I'm trying to make. As much as we are condemning the CPDM, of course they are a total failure. We accept that President Paul Biya has failed. I said it and I'm saying it again, that he's supposed to be in Vumuka resting. Yes. So we don't argue that fact. But we are saying that we will make noise, and the next day President Paul Biya will put a successor.
Okay, let's. And
after putting his successor, the successor will come and say continue. Now, for for the opposition party to keep on condemning the ruling party is not enough. Let them reunite.
I think there are unanswered questions, Mr. Stefan, on the table which you have raised, and Mr. Richard here is very apt and fit to answer. This is looking, staring your party, your opposition party to the face. What do you have to say?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to find out what Mr. Stefan's political affiliation is, because I came in a little bit late and I did not.
I think that is some.
Okay, so he's an analyst. Yeah. Oh, okay, fine. So let me say that he made some very, excuse my language, frivolous claim. He claimed that we chase a vibrant and whatever nature. Please, you're an analyst, and I think that being an analyst, you should understand that when you talk, people listen, and when people start talking, it is respectful and just honorable for you to wait for them to make their own point. He claimed that if somebody was just chased away, and I would say that is just a display of ignorance in the sense that he has absolutely no idea about the party based on what he, except for what he knows on social media or watch on TV. Okay, so he has not, excuse me, let me come to that. He knows absolutely nothing about Ninche. He knows nothing about what transpired before Ninche finally left the party. All he knows is that some noise or somebody who is projecting himself as a vibrant person on TV has been chased out of the party. First of all, Ninche, let me be very clear, since he has come on that, let me let Cameroonians know so that they are not misled. Ninche is one person. If you ask Kawala, who left the party, if you ask Elibi Lobe, those are vibrant members of the party who left. These are militants of the party in Douala who left as a result of Ninche. Now, Ninche is that guy who does not want to see somebody who is a threat to his ambition to survive, and that is why he elbowed, in his position as Littoral chairman, he used that and frustrated Kawala, who eventually resigned, frustrated Elibi Lobe, and eventually gave Elibi Lobe a tool and kicked him out of the party. And he attempted the same scenario with Osi, since Osi is there in the Littoral, but unfortunately for him, he failed to read the constitution of the party that says that as a regional chairperson, you do not have a right to give an 8-2 to a NEC member. You don't give 8-2. I'm a NEC member. The regional person here cannot just give me 8-2. It must go to NEC, and that decision is taken by NEC. Worst of all, the vice president of the party, and he did that. And they called him to order. They said, oh no, you did this, it was wrong. Look at the constitution, this is not what you're supposed to do. And he pushed through with it. Refused to listen to the decision of NEC and continue agitating and recruiting members into his camp, a camp of people that he wanted to create confusion within the party. All attempt was made to quell him down, to reconcile him and bring him back to the party, to no avail. He continued with his claim, with his actions, which were directly anti-party in nature. The chairman of the party contacted him, asked him to come to his place with OC so that they can negotiate and reconcile. He vehemently refused because he has an ambition. He did that for a long time. In fact, it took 1 full year, and within this year he was invited to NEC several times and he refused to come to NEC. Why continuing going to media houses and doing what he's doing? And I'm sure that's where my friend saw him and made him some kind of saint. He continued going to media houses. The party has organs within the party in which we address issues. We don't address issue on the media. We don't address internal issues of the party in the media. We address it. We have internal institutions within the party that address issue. And he failed to do that consecutively for 1 year. And the party could not allow one person hold the party hostage, whoever that person is. There is nobody in the SDF who is untouchable. Nobody. not even the national chairman, is untouchable. And so when he did that persistently, he was advised by A2, which is a self-exclusion article of the party, that when you engage yourself in anti-party activity of the nature of Mitchell, you exclude yourself from the party. Coming to his claim that the SDF is dead, I hope he was in our convention where we had 2,400 delegates from across the country. Every corner of this country who gathered at the Palais des Sports, and I don't think a dead party will mobilize that much. It is easy for analysts to come and sit here and say that a party is dead. I wish those analysts have the capacity to go out there and mobilize even 10 people around them to see how challenging it is to bring people together. Sometimes it's easier to criticize than to act. And I will advise that people who do this analysis and people who I heard him lambasted the SDF, he has castigated MRC and all of that, and this is an embodiment of a typical young person in Cameroon. They find problem everywhere, but they have no solution to give.
Okay, since you have
Mabel, thank you. I cannot just sit and watch somebody just
I'm not somebody, I'm Mr. Ndifo.
Mr. Ndifo. Okay, I cannot just watch Mr. Ndifo just vomiting everything and anyhow. Let me just say something. When you say we find problems everywhere and anyhow, at times you guys need to give young youth that hope and that trust to ensure that once we are putting where we are putting our legs, right, we have that how can I put it, that security.
You can initiate a political party.
Let me explain something. I am a youth who has refused to create a party, and I don't even hope of creating one. And I have struggled to join parties. It's not one, it's not two. Now I will not mention the name for ethical purpose, for ethical reasons, but I want to say this. The first party that I joined, I met the national chairman, he proposed the position of national youth president of his party. I agreed, I joined the party, and 2 weeks later I called him. I said, President. He said, yes sir. I said, we are in this together. We are going to die together. I've joined. Now I'm asking you, as a youth that I am, where do you see me 10 years from now? How do you think this party will help me to improve and to succeed tomorrow? Do you know what he told me? He told me that I'm arrogant.
Do you think
there is a way to actually cajole with the youth? Maybe he was supposed to tell me that, you know, the more we work hard, the better the outcome.
So, Mr. Cyril, in this place, do you think this is, just picking the crumbs from where Mr. Ndifo ate? Do you think this is actually one of the factors that actually scares youths? Besides the low sense of security, they think they have an obscured future, just like what Mr. Stefan said.
I have about 3 parties. I don't want to name them.
Yeah, so do you think that is one of the factors that is actually repelling young people into politics?
If we fail to congratulate Mr. Stefan for even crossing most of his friends are drinking down there. Others are on parachute. So if we really fail to congratulate him for marching up, then we are not understanding where we are living. And instead from the kind of education they will do. Can you imagine that in the amphitheater and the university?
But he's talking about
professor of political science come in and tell students that freedom of speech is when that you don't have any freedom after speech. That's a professor of political science.
But is that the reality on ground? That is a question.
What do you mean by reality? If he thinks that political science that he's teaching is not working, what does he do? He just asks for he asked for his dismissal.
Where is Wazisi today? Where is Martinezzo?
It happens in every society. It's not only in Cameroon that they kill journalists every day. Democracy is a trial process.
And when you have a dictator in power who has been there for 41 years, you don't lament on excesses. We instead figure out to join our hands together and push him out.
Agreed.
That's why I'm saying that we should not castigate Mr. Stefan. He is only displaying the much that he knows. And it's our own place to help him see that, okay, from outside it might look like that, but inside it has other readings. Just like the clock. If you sit on a solar perspective, 9 can look like 6, and if you stand on others, it will actually be 6.
While I try to ask Stefan here,
before I come, the question was about young people. Yes, the behavior of those who are already manning opposition party or even the incumbent now kind of repel young people, because young people are first of all fragilized with financial incapability. You see a young person, despite the will, he can be maneuvered overweight with finances. And old people have all the tricks. They are like old monkeys. They can dash you 10,000 today, but you don't know that you are going to pay back that 10,000 in 50,000 tomorrow. You really think that it was for free, but before you know it, it is hooked on your neck. So I'm just trying to tell you that yes, Mabel, what we are observing with young people today is that the system has somehow cradled them and put at a position that they are just observant. They listen, they say, they are castigated, insulted, and refuted even. I am a young person who have been victim. And so I'm talking for my own example. I'm a young person who have been victim, even within the party, but I've refused to give up.
I think Kanto was not the only person who spoke. I think we need to get into the highlights of what Joshua Osei said, the chairman of the Social Democratic Front. I mean, he highlighted the party's convention, which happened about, is it 2 months ago, Mr. Tifo, if I had my facts straight, and he said it's a true testament of, you know, the emblematic nature of the party and the fact that they are in due course or on the democratic will. Is that sense or nonsense, Mr. Tifo?
Can you take about the question again?
I mean, Joshua Osei capitalizing about the party's convention, which happened 2 months ago, and saying it's a true testament that the party is standing tall and that they're in line with democratic procedures. Do you think it's sense or nonsense?
It actually make a lot of sense. Why? And I'll explain. I think I explained what the chairman meant by that. The SDF has demonstrated its strength as a leader of democracy in Cameroon, and that is because the SDF so far, except I am challenged or somebody contradict what I'm saying, the SDF so far is that political party whose chairman has consistently, even when Chairman Frundi was there, he stood for election. There is a percentage of vote he is required to have, even if he does not have a contestant, another opponent standing with him. There is a required number of percentage of votes that he needs for him to cross and remain as chairman. But recently, we have seen that the SDF is the only political party whose chairman stood aside and nominated someone else to be the party flag bearer in the presidential election. I mean, one of the few prominent political parties. I'm not talking about political parties who sell their parties to people to be chairmen. I'm talking about a political party. Please,
2018.
Yeah, please. You can talk after me.
You cannot come here and you say things that are not true.
It is
Univer in 2018. Who is the chairman?
Who was Univer?
Who was the party candidate?
Let him respond to the question.
Yeah, but first of all, I've not even made my point to the logical
Just make
end.
your point.
Yes, and the fact is that he's talking about Cabral Libi. Cabral Libi was never a member of this party that he's talking about. He has never militated in the party. He wanted to be president of the republic, and he was looking for a political party that would endorse him, and he went and whatever negotiation they made, and I'm not talking about that kind of scenario. I'm talking about an institution, a political party that operates, and members within the political party contested and stand as presidential candidate. In the case of Osei in 2018, Osei stood with Bandam, he stood with Honorable Fobi Chinda. These were the three candidates who stood for that primaries. and Osi emerged victorious as the presidential candidate. So it was not something like somebody just came, like the example is trying to point there. That's the first. Then the second thing is that the convention was, like I said, a testament of our democracy. It was in that convention we saw that there were 3 different candidates. We saw that these candidates animated, they presented their position. First of all, these candidates were selected from the level of their regions. Osi was presented from the littoral region. Zama was presented from the southwest, and the other guy, Shewa, was presented from the northwest. So there were 3 different candidates who ran. They sold their manifesto to the SDF militants. They told them what they would do if they become the chairman, and the election was conducted. Joshua Osi won. His very next, the person who came after him, Shewa, who was the second behind him, came and embraced him and congratulated him for having won. That is democracy. And apart from the position of the chairman, and to tell you that during that election, an independent commission was set up at the level of the convention by members of the delegates at the convention. They nominated an independent body that managed the election. There was a transparent ballot box.
Okay,
there was a single ballot paper, just like what we are recommending that the Biya regime should adopt.
Away from the
elections,
let us look at the inner troubles and the inner feuds that have actually plagued the SDF recently. We know that the SDF have actually been in the news in recent times, but not for good things. We have Zama, who just left the party, and we also have Barrister Michelle. No, I think this is political feuds and all of that. Do you think if the house is not swept clean, they'll have an ugly face come 2025 elections?
Yeah, Mabel, the SDF, like every family, even your own family, there are troubles in families. There is no institution in this world, beginning with the family, which is the basic unit of society. And when I talk about family, I'm talking about people with whom you have the same blood relationship, you live the same home, you eat the same food. If you can disagree with them, talk more of people who come from different backgrounds and they are in an institution. Those disagreements are common, all right? They are very common and they exist within the SDF, and that was what existed. And that is why I explained earlier, to try to explain to my very good friend Stefan there, that the SDF did not just get up one fine morning and decided to chase people. Yes, they did not just get up one morning to chase people. These people had grievances, which were, some of these grievances were actually
arrogant?
No, not arrogant. They were actually legitimate grievances that they presented. The unfortunate thing is that the approach they used for these grievances to be addressed was the wrong approach. If they had listened to the chairman say, okay, the chairman was already out. He was already, even before he died, he was already clear that he wanted to go out. He pleaded with these guys and said, please, I do not want to leave this party at this stage, and you guys are doing what you're doing. Please come to the table, let's talk. Please come to the table. But somehow it looks like they had an agenda that was already set, and there was nothing we could do. We tried as much as we could. I'm telling you, this negotiation for 1 full year, trying to get these guys to stay in the party, no way.
So
and
the
party could not hold the party down, and depended on a few people who have decided to frustrate the party.
Talking about the few people who have decided to frustrate the party, OC for 2 minutes kept on eulogizing the chairman, late Funzi, who is a monument to Cameroon, and a lot of people would rather that he picks factors and demonstrates in a speech, but we think he spent time eulogizing and giving all the flowers to the emblematic leader. Do you think that was necessary for about 2 to 3 minutes? While so many things were left out, one would think that he would talk about the recent occurrence plaguing the Nuso, but it was somehow evasive or passive? How did you welcome that, Mr. Sinjo, as somebody who actually was stuck on his mobile phone, picking all the words from Osi?
Thank you. I want to think that Joshua Osi is just a few months into the office as the party chairman, and of course, he still have so much to do, but we have seen his works while as honorable member of parliament, and I don't think that giving credit or praises to Leni John Fundi was not bad, because the SDF, I've always said that the SDF is a political party that I think Cameroonians should be grateful to have SDF as a political party, opposition political party. That is to be sincere, that is the only party that has made the Yaoundé government sometimes stand on their toe or toe the line. You know how the late chairman has always make it very difficult for the Yaoundé regime. So I think we should give SDF some credit. When you talk about democracy in this country, SDF, for at least for once, should be given democracy. We saw it. I think when emblematic John Fundi came back from his visit from abroad, Grigwa Owona and some other people testify as far as democracy of this country is concerned, and they congratulated the SDF for that. So just to tell my brother that to say that SDF is dead, I don't think it's an overstatement.
Okay, let's look at the veracity of that by switching to Mr. Siri. Well, I come back to you.
Okay.
Yeah, but Mabel, there is one thing. Yeah, there's a statement you made that was inaccurate that I think we should correct. Yes, you made a reference to the fact that the chairman spent 2 to 3 minutes talking about the late chairman. That was not true. That was inaccurate information.
Okay,
and let me just make the point clear. He made a speech of 17 minutes and he used less than 40 seconds to talk about the chairman. 40 seconds. I have the speech here and it is 2 lines. It is written. This is the written part of the speech. It is 2 lines. He used less than 40 seconds to talk about the chairman. And it is just normal that for somebody in the person of Leni John Fundi, who died and the chairman of the party in 2023, and then the chairman is making a speech in 2024 to give reverence to the fallen hero. It's just normal. I even expected to hear that in almost all the presentation of all the other even opposition leaders.
Do you tally with that, Mr. Cyril? I mean, 40 minutes and 2 minutes, they're almost the same thing.
40 seconds.
40 seconds.
And if you've seen 90, I don't think 100 is a big deal. Do you tally with that?
I think from the beginning of the program to now, I'm not seeing you giving false facts. So I doubt that you can give false facts. But if we were to go with the perspective that maybe your talk slides and you talk of 2 minutes instead of 40 seconds, maybe we should say that 40 seconds was just enough to pay tribute. But I have heard things like the late chairman Leni John Fundi should be venerated in this country. I will not come short of that, but just to regret that his last few years were not as glorious as the early 90s. And you should not also fail to know that after 2004, Leni John Fundi became a stone in the shoes of the opposition. They came together to kind of form a coalition because since 2004, after 2004, 2011,
So we can just analyze the speech.
that they have been. The question was asked.
While they are catching their breath, Mr. Nembo Stefan, before I go back to Mr. Sinjo, in his speech he said, Honorable Joshua Osi, that you cannot use the people who caused the problem to solve it. What is the veracity of that statement? Do you think there's an aspect of truism that is embodied in that speech?
Maybe I think last year on this same platform, I made it clear that if we are talking of a dialogue in this country, we should first of all start us as the people of the Northwest and Southwest. We ought to dialogue among ourselves, because like I said, we need to know who is who stands for what. We have federalists, we have unionists, we have those who are for, I don't know, for total separation. And if President Osi says that those who cause something cannot know, we are not saying that those people should be at the forefront. We are saying that those people should be part of the process, but at least there should be a mediator. When my co-panelists spoke of sovereignty, I begin to laugh. You know, when you talk of when you talk of sovereignty, calling an international mediator does not remove the fact that Cameroon is a sovereign country. We are going towards peace, and if we are going towards peace, we should kill pride. We should kill arrogance. You know, there are people who can. I heard one leader who called some Cameroonian, I don't know, he said we are dogs and all those stuff. So all those types of languages, we don't really want them. What Mr. Osi is doing, I think I need to applaud him. Yes, I need to applaud him. But what I'm trying to say is that after saying that those people at the end of the day, what next? We need to actually stand to our toes and fight for something. Let me comment a bit about their Congress who just actually ended. Yeah, I appreciate the idea. My co-panelist said that the SDF, me saying that the SDF is a dead party is an overstatement. I think I should be very, how can I say, brutal with the SDF, because I think it's a party that I admire, and my father happened to be a very strong militant in the SDF party. So when I see the party not doing well, I ought to, because you know, it should usually say that a man is not successful until his successor succeeds. So I hope that Joshua Osi will succeed to give glory to late Frunzi, to make him to understand that he did not actually choose a wrong successor. And coming back to their Congress, I wish to say this: if their Congress having 2,000 participants or even 10,000 participants, if that Congress can enable them to have senators who are not appointed by the President of the Republic, I will clap for them. If their Congress can help them in 2025 to have parliamentarians at this, let's say the majority vote at the level of the parliament, I will clap for them. If that Congress can help them to have to acquire seats at the level of the local councils and all those stuff, I will clap for them. But as it stands now, the SDF is a non-event.
I will not really be fast. So maybe before now, I have been part of those who were castigating the SDF, especially of Joshua Osi. But for some time, I have been following Mr. Nzifodenek member, and it's becoming clear that we must flip the page. SDF is becoming something new. That Cameroonian who will not renew their confidence with the SDF will surely miss out something. You know, all of us, we are sinners in one way or the others. And if somebody looking at you just want to focus on your negative part, it means that you yourself, you don't need that kind of person beside you. Yes, Joshua has had his Chairman Joshua Osi has had his own challenges in the past. But when you follow the dynamics that is surrounding him now, first, it does not more want that one-man chairmanship overseen in the party. That is an innovation. You said in the beginning of the program that this was one of the first
speech, end of year speech that was aired and recorded in a modern way. I think those are innovation that will not only seduce local electorate but equally will speak to donors in the diaspora. And these are things that Cameroonians that are calling for coalition should be able to seize and study. He talking about the future of our country, putting the people that they must, because talking that we should go and register, this word came again, and it's almost a word that is synchronized in almost all political leaders, that there is no way we are going to change this government if we don't have the voters card.
Okay, now he's talking. He also made mention about electoral, the upcoming elections, and that we need, in his words, I would just want to read it here. He says, the elections ahead are our next immediate chance to politically repair injustice. How so, Mr. Ntagwuche?
Yes, like Siri rightly said, we know that you made a statement that the chairman made, and he made that statement in a global sense. It was not only in respect to the Anglophone problem. He was talking about the fact that the regime created the problem that Cameroon is facing, and we cannot rely on this same regime to solve this problem that they have created for this length of time. And that is why he is calling on Cameroonians to give a new vision for Cameroon by voting a different.
Says it will be the child with the left and you will pull the child back to the right.
No, you don't. In this case, we are not talking about a child. We are talking about a father. In this case, we are talking about a father that has persistently ignored taking care of the child for such a long time, and that child is almost suffocating and is almost dying. And that child, and what the chairman is saying is that if you cannot continue staying under the roof of that father, you need to look elsewhere. And that is why he's saying that we Cameroonians should start thinking about looking for a new vision for Cameroon. And it does not necessarily need to come from the SDF. It can come from the MRC, it can come from even another political party. But the chairman was calling on Cameroonians to trust the SDF, to renew their trust in the SDF. And he said that the only way we can get there is if we all collectively, he mentioned civil society organizations, he mentions religious bodies, he mentioned all progressive political parties.
But he was specific. He said the SDF has a clear vision for the country.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. And that's why he said that Cameroonians should trust the SDF. But I'm saying that for the SDF to get to that level of presenting that vision that they had, they need all these groups to come together. They need the civil society organization. They need everybody
to work in synergy.
Yes, and a work in synergy means that every single Cameroonian should have a voter's card. He was very emphatic in his speech that he knows that Cameroonians are frustrated. He knows that Cameroonians, the regime has manipulated election and frustrated people and made people to think that their vote does not count. But he is assuring Cameroonians that while the SDF continue to fight for a free, fair election, electoral process in Cameroon, while they continue to fight for the digitalization of election and for a single and for the reduction of the voting age to 18, he is saying that that fight continues, but do not relent. Still go get your voter's card. Still use your voter's card to vote on the election day, because that is the only way change can come democratically. He emphasized democratically, because we as a political party and any other political party, I'm sure the goal of every political party is to win election. And I like the fact that my younger man there was talking about the fact that yes, that he is looking at the SDF winning this, and that is a very legitimate expectation from any political party that he has. But I want to assure him that we can achieve that only if they collaborate with us by registering, by voting, and elsewhere. You see that political parties do not just win elections. Political parties have people who are not militant of the party but are just sympathizers who go out there volunteering for the party, helping the party and all of that. And I want to assure my brother that in the next few years or few months, and after the next election, the SDF is going to bounce back very strongly.
Okay, talking about the SDF bouncing back, Mr. Sinju, do you think that OC's message was a time bomb, and that there were a lot of ingredients and condiments that were left out? For instance, he possibly talked about injustice. Do you think corruption would have been something that would have, captured a portion of the speech, and minority groups, and articulating on the crisis even more immensely would have occupied a fraction of his speech? Do you think that was something that would have been meticulously, talked about?
Yes, I think he did. If we look at OC's speech, he tried to touch much of those aspects which he just mentioned here. But again, I think there are other outings which also will be coming up later. And just want to add that, SDF, the coming of Joshua OC as the chairman of SDF, there is renewed hope for SDF, because when you follow their Congress, you will understand that there is renewed hope. I was shocked to even know that we will have even more than 2,000 participants there. And like I said, if you see the way Joshua Oshie in 2018 was actually going about campaign for election, we noticed that arrogant Joshua Oshie. But from the moment he became chairperson, we noticed that thing has changed, and we noticed that Joshua Oshie, the barrier that he built around him is no longer there, and this is what Cameroonian wants. Cameroonian wants to talk to political figure freely. There shouldn't be a barrier. So there has been a lot of changes with Joshua Oshie, which I really appreciate so much, and that's why I started from the beginning by saying that a coalition between MRC and SDF is going to be a good one. This is the opportunity that they have. In 2018, SDF and the party of Professor Morika missed out that opportunity. Until today, Cameroonians are angry. So we are saying that with the way things are going, because I listened to that message, Joshua Oshie and Professor Morika, very keenly, because these are the two main strong opposition party that we are looking at, and I felt that there is a lot of similarity in their speech. They have the same direction and vision, and of course, I want to think that if there is any thing about coalition, these two people should be on the table first, because that is where Cameroonians are putting their hopes. So they shouldn't fail Cameroon like in 2018.
Should neglect the PSC. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know who want to lead, but Cameroonians want to see a coalition.
Okay,
that is the first thing.
I think at this point we are just 4 minutes out of the program, and we are dragging the curtains on this particular phase and juncture. I'll begin with you, Mr. Stefan. Your final words as we leave the program. Goodbye.
Coalition is important, but the content of a coalition should be the most important thing. Now, what the problem in Cameroon is that almost every politician is egocentric, and because every politician is egocentric, nobody. I mean, if we are expecting a coalition between the CRM and the SDF, it means that we are just wasting our time, because I know the country. I'm saying what I see and what I know out of experience.
Thank you so much, Mr. Tifo. Your final words, you said.
Yeah, my final word, I was just in line with this issue of coalition, because that is what many Cameroonians are expecting, and many Cameroonians rely on that to their hope on that. And I want to speak now not as a militant of the SDF. I don't want to speak the voice of the SDF. I'm speaking as my personal opinion, and in my personal and humble opinion, I want to agree with my brother at the other end. We'll talk about a coalition of the big parties. That is where it begins. If you want to do a coalition, start with the big party. And again, I'll agree again with Stefan that when we start a coalition, the bone of contention should not be who leads the coalition, but what is it that you are offering to Cameroonians? What is the platform? What are you coming together to do for Cameroonians? That should be the first thing. And when you get to that point, you can now start negotiating as to how to get it. I think maybe we'll have more time to talk about a coalition as a topic.
Yes, we need to talk coalition as a topic.
Mr. Cyril, we are signing and your signature needs to be.
Yeah, what I would say is that God is marvelous and He holds our destiny. I believe strongly that the SDF and the MRC, the BCRN will come to coalition and make Cameroonian proud.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sinju. You were the one who has actually triggered this particular, keynote speeches from those brilliant panel members that I have about coalition. So, what do you want to say, to veil the program?
Yes, I just want to reiterate that the opposition party, they shouldn't fail Cameroonians again. Yes, they have a second chance in 2025 to make Cameroonians smile. Who knows? Maybe from what they will come from 2025, by forming a coalition, getting closer might be an end to the crisis. So they need to think of that.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an amazing ride and an amazing journey. And of course, just like you know, a smooth sail did not make a skilled sailor. So when we have programs like that, we have different and controversial opinions steering from left, right, center. But the goal is to educate you all. And if you are interested about picking political education, then you need to be stuck to your screens every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, as from 6 p.m. right up until 8 p.m. And see you next time. I have been Mabel Camden. See you tomorrow. And up next, we have High Prime with High TV's Larry Etingene. Stay glued to all the programs that follow suit. Bye.